So I've just written a book about my mother who was called Little Mary Hagan. She was a child recording star in 1932. The reason why she was called Nightingale of the North eventually was because when she went to London, she took London by storm, and they nicknamed her Nightingale of the North. So she was there for about 2 years altogether, and she became a big star in London, recording records, topping the bill at all the big theatres. So it was a wonderful, wonderful story. And I had thought about it before writing it, but I never got round to it. But this time I made the effort for my children, my grandchildren, and as a tribute to my mother. No, I haven't written a book at all before. I've written a couple of articles. I had one article in the Women's Realm quite a few years ago. But basically what I did was write poetry. I used to write poetry, and I became the writer for Kingsley cards, who are a birthday and anniversary cards, big company, and I did a selection of sentimental verse, and I became their writer. And actually they ended up in Harrods. I set them to music, and they were taken up by Harrods as a narrated, beautiful sentimental verse to music, and they did quite well. But apart from that, no, this was my first attempt to write a book. To research and write the book, I think it took me quite a long time, because I started to actually write this book many years ago, after my mum died. She died in 1976, and I wrote an article about her, but I didn't do anything with it. It was an act of contrition, really, this article, because I felt so sorry when I look back on my mother's life. And so I wrote this article, but eventually that ended up with the Newcastle Journal, and they put it in their nostalgia paper. It was very, very popular. That was in 2003. And then after that, I really didn't do anything else. But then it was on my mind continually. So my husband actually suggested I write it. And so I got everything out, and I made my mind up that if I was going to do it, I would do it then. So that was when I started writing it. I would imagine it would take me about, for years before, it had taken about 10 years to think about it and gather the information together. And eventually it took me about 9 months to a year to actually write the book itself that I have here. So it took quite a long time in the making. Now that the book is out, obviously I hope it sells well and that people enjoy it and really get something out of the story. But further than that, really what I want to happen to it is I would love it to be a movie. I mean, we did get very close to that once before, and because of the recession it fell through. But I would love it to be made into a movie. And I think there's somebody out there any film producer, because in actual fact the way I've written the book, every chapter of the book is a new scene in a movie. I wrote it in that style. I bring a character into the chapter and I introduce somebody in those characters, and people have commented on that, go all the way through it. So that's my long-term vision, that it will be a movie or a drama of some description.